is the right side. We're live now. So if you see us
behind my
moving and grooving, please say if the audio is great and the video is great, you see us moving, then we can roll.
Oh, I can see myself.
We're getting curious.
Like, how am I gonna sit? You like this one?
Like this? Yeah, now you can.
Just if you sit really close to it, you can hide the food belly. There we go.
Look my ass.
Hello. Is the video good, guys? I want to hear that as well. Yes, we do. Nice. Now, so this is episode 35, and we're in Studio34x in Almere, and sitting on the table with some interesting guys and girls. Yeah, and there are the girls, here are the guys. Bye. It's gonna be after this one. Richard is co-hosting this shit. Asking some questions, dropping them.
There you go.
Yeah, you can drop your questions if you want in the chat. The chat is open for here, and we can see live there. And we're going to do the portfolio and all the stuff for you. And I think in about 45 minutes we do a little pause, and then we come back to finish off with some more pictures and more talking. So start with the girls. Tell a little bit about yourself.
Myself, I'm Jolien Rosanne. I am a costume designer for around 6 years already. I started really small. Started with a really small business with accessories like rings or bracelets and like little tiaras. And I started doing costumes as well, like really elaborate costumes from fairy tales, like secret worlds where, there are always like a little bit of beautiful women, but also a little bit of dangerous women. So that's already my style.
Nice.
What I do and what I love to design. So
Yeah, the designs are on the table as well.
Yeah.
These are yours, right?
But that's the top, and this is a headdress. Maybe you can show it because your head is prettiest.
You only work for women. I'm gonna switch there.
Look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
Gorgeous.
That worked, right?
It works.
That works.
There you go.
You make everything work. Work those wings as well.
I'm gonna be your
This one as well.
your model for
Yeah.
everything.
Short build, what against?
Those wings are pretty awesome.
yeah.
Is the video still running? Do you see us moving and doing like this? What
Test
because
mode.
somebody in the chat says we got
Slow.
build my giraffe. Okay, I'm gonna take a look. Frames.
We've got no live feed here.
That's strange. I'm gonna look at statistics. What is this? It's good. All good. All good again at this side now. And the sound, is the sound good?
Yeah, I'll have it.
We froze.
They're in cyberspace freezing. Yeah, freezing.
Anyway, like this now.
Extremely slow.
It'll be the worst, like,
Me stuck with that thing.
Yvette says it works perfect. So
We keep going.
we keep going, and it's like technical stuff with live feeds, and just keep them coming in the chat. Yeah. The water as well.
keep that away from me.
Keep it away. Yeah. So we were at
Renee.
Renee. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I am a photographer and a digital artist in Canada, so I like to make stuff that is not based in reality because reality bores the crap out of me. And I like to build everything in composites, so I shoot everything in the studio and then I build everything up in a million layers in Photoshop, and that's kind of my thing. As far as the theme, I haven't figured it out yet. I kind of follow the shiny red dot, see where it goes.
Follow the red rabbit down the rabbit hole.
It's pretty awesome.
It's like the cats with the laser.
That's
cuts.
pretty much it, yeah. Somebody's got the laser pointer, I don't know who it is yet, but I'm
Just
running
follow
after it. Like, I'm gonna do this, oh my god, I'm gonna do that.
Cool.
So that's pretty much my thing. I've been doing this now for, 2 days ago was my 7th/8th anniversary. It doesn't really make sense, but yeah. All my anniversaries happen when I'm in Holland because I'm in Holland every year this time of year.
Perfect.
Autumn comes, Renee comes.
Yeah. I come with the shitty weather.
We're used to the shitty weather. And mushrooms. Yeah.
Oh my god, it was so
Pop
hot.
up from the ground.
Mushrooms, yeah, I'm a fungus.
Yeah, maybe you eat them and then make pictures. You get
I haven't
interesting
tried that yet. I know I'm in Holland.
Still on my list as well.
Can you imagine what would happen?
I know. Weekend
God.
retreat. I'm hearing a weekend retreat. I would be so scared to try it. I mean,
Right? That's kind of what I'm afraid of, that I'm going to break
so
my
many
brain.
things happen already in my
Yeah.
head, and then that comes up. It's
It's
like,
just overload. That's like images.
Exactly.
or everything turns normal.
Oh my god.
Right?
Is that the normal?
Both of them are terrifying.
It would be terrifying. But we need to try that. Next time live. Live. No internet. Just a cabin.
Suddenly the image froze and there was no audio anymore. Everything was black.
Or we just freeze and everything just keeps rolling.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And on this side we have the guys.
Roderique.
Roderique.
Yeah, that's me. Been here before. Pretty much what she said.
Follow the little red dot.
Yeah, I just followed red dot. People say they know my style. I don't know what style I have. I like to take pictures, also in the studio, and I like to really work on them in Composites and Photoshop and stuff. I really create my own ideas, my own fantasy worlds and stuff.
You have a Star Wars addiction and a
I do have a
hairless
Star Wars
cat
addiction. And I started photography shooting my cats because I have awesome cats. They're perfect models.
You got the Sphinx?
Yeah, I got 2 of them. I know. That's why I said you must make your art. Projects are being built here. That's awesome. Tiny armor and
helmet
stuff.
for the cat.
I got the perfect idea for
The
that.
perfect idea.
So yeah, I like cats and I like Star Wars. I like sci-fi a lot. Pop culture is also very much embedded in my work. And other than that, I like to shoot pictures. I mean, give me a camera and throw me out on the street. I like to take pictures. I do it in the studio, and whatever comes my way. And yeah, there's a pretty big red dot right in front of me as well. We're just running.
What kind of dot do you have?
Well, everything they said, I don't do, and I don't have. I'm just here today to co-host together with Michelle and ask some questions and see what you guys are saying. So,
Yeah.
there you go.
There you go.
He's also a good photographer too. Because
Yeah, but watch some previous shows and you can see what he does.
There you go. If you look back to some previous shows, you will see me hanging
I
around.
think show 25 and show 13 out of my head.
There you go.
I don't know.
There you
go. Go to the list. There is a list, a playlist, and all the shows are there. This show is going as well, so you can play back all the 34
Episodes.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. What shall we begin with? From portfolio to see what you guys are doing, and they can ask questions. Yeah. Who wants to go first?
Put up a picture and see who made it.
Renee is on this one, and I think I did this, and then this, and there is it.
Oh yeah.
The right one is for you, the live feed, so you can talk about the pictures there, and I can switch them for you if you say yes, switch to another one.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, this one was photographed in Alberta, my hometown, my home province, I guess. This is about 4 hours from where I live. This is called Moraine Lake. And landscape photography kind of scares the crap out of me because it represents a lot of reality. So I was like, how do I not represent reality? And a few months earlier, at this point, I had been out photographing the Titans and Mavericks in California in Half Moon Bay.
Oh, you photographed the Maverick?
Yeah, I photographed Mavericks.
The biggest one.
Yeah, those waves are like 50 feet tall, and they look way bigger in that picture, but in real life they're about 50 feet tall, and there's these lunatics on surfboards sliding down these things, and it was crazy. We're in this tiny little boat, and I asked the captain, I said, do we need life jackets or anything like that? And he looks at me and my clothes, he looks at the clothes that I'm wearing, and he's like, you have boots on? Don't worry about it.
You'll sink straight to the bottom. It's gone.
I was like, what do you mean don't worry about it? And he goes, well, there's a really big undertow, lots of rocks, and you don't swim very well. Even if you did, you're wearing boots, so it won't last long. I was like, right, so don't. It actually made it pretty easy because I was like, I have no control. I have no control whatsoever of what's going on here.
So just go with it.
I'm just gonna roll with it. Yeah, literally. So we, it was pretty interesting because, you know, it's like these crazy waves, and I'm actually terrified of deep water. So it was just take a whole bunch of gravel and try to not throw up. And I actually went out with a bunch of smug mug people, so that was really fun.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, smug muggers are a good time.
Yeah.
Did we lose feed? Are we still good?
Yeah, the feed is a little bit
Slowy.
slow, yeah.
Talk slower.
Damn it.
Maverick.
Yeah.
Still up?
Still up
Are you on 4G or on the Wi-Fi?
on the Wi-Fi.
Put it on 4G.
My phone or the...
Yeah, your phone. I killed my Wi-Fi as well, just to...
Maybe that's
Yeah.
the problem as well, but the computer is on Wi-Fi as well.
Yeah, but you don't want to eat the data from the Wi-Fi.
Oh,
Two things at the same time. So you go on
Oh,
4G and let the Wi-Fi run the computer.
Yeah, Wi-Fi. Put it all down. Wi-Fi.
Airplane mode. There you go.
Fixed.
I kill you.
Is it back?
Looks back. Are we back?
Are we back?
See
Are we
how
back?
live-
Are we back? Are we back? Are
Are we
we back?
back? Are we back? Are we back?
Do you have sound? Do you have anything? Let us know.
Thumbs up. If you wel geluid, geen beeld. Fucking live feed. I see. Yeah, all here.
Yeah,
is,
we're good. I think we can
We're
go.
moving. So yes. Sorry about this, guys. Sorry about this technical.
Yep,
shit.
yes, everything's cool.
All right. Next image. Keep on going.
Yeah, next image.
Next
Just
image.
move on.
Just cut it and then go to the next image. Bomb.
Yeah, this is fun. I got tired of shooting composites inside the studio, so I decided I would get over my horrid dislike and distaste for shooting on location and drag my lights on location. So I've got a sister who's been modeling since she was 10, which is really awesome and convenient. And the joys of having a sister who does modeling is basically a free slave labor for life. So
Put them to work.
yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, we went out to this park and she was like, oh man, we should do this like mage thing with these huge waves coming in. And once again, this is more footage from the Titans of Mavericks waves and just like removing little surf guys. And yeah, we made this, and so I was like, yeah, that would be really awesome. And this is one of the few composites that came together, you know, relatively quickly. I think it was just a few hours as opposed to a lot more than that.
Yeah, keep on
So-
talking. It's okay. I think some of them say there is no sound. Some they say there is good sound. So
Turn up your speakers if you don't have sound. Put
It's
some
on
headphones in.
100% here. So is this the one where you got the video from as well?
Yes.
Should I put down the video?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can totally play the time lapse of this. So
Just wherever it is, and then this, and this is the video. I think.
yeah, this is the video for sure.
And,
Got it?
No, not got it. First go to this one, and it's full frame.
Mm-hmm.
Play it, and then go like this. Yep.
It's so complicated.
Yeah, especially when doing it on your own.
Yep.
Hang with us, people.
And there we go.
There we go.
Yeah,
I think it works.
So that's your sister.
that's my sister.
Cool.
Yeah, my sister is an incredible model. She's really good at everything, but she's also a really good model.
And this is how you work the process in Photoshop? What are we looking at?
Yeah, this is just a time lapse of when I made it in Photoshop. So it's just like pulling around all the files and making it work. So I edited this in my sister's living room, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, it was after we finished shooting and I was all jazzed up because I was like, oh my god, I totally know how I'm gonna make this. And so
Those are the best ones.
those are really good moments. Those are the
Like,
high.
yes.
Yeah, that's the high. I love that. I live for that.
No
you know.
thinking, just working,
Yeah.
just flowing.
No talking. I love that.
So in your process when you're doing this, do you do music or something?
This time, normally I have music on. This time I was sitting there talking with my sister. Yeah, we were just kind of like, oh, we should do this. Oh my god, we should do this. You know, it just becomes this like menagerie of creativity. So
Voices.
yeah, exactly. Voices. Yeah, as long as there's more voices than just my own going on, I can do good work. If it's just my own head, it's a problem.
That sucks. So what do you do when you usually do when you're editing on your own?
When I'm working on my own, I listen to different types of music. I will listen. Depends what I'm editing is depending the type of music I'll listen to.
Okay.
So if I'm making something that's like really epic, then I'll make epic soundtracks. If I'm making something that's softer and sweeter, like even beauty work, I don't throw on thrash metal to do beauty work.
And it's a panda.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like I love metal, but I don't listen to In Flames when I'm doing beauty work. Yeah, I sometimes I put on podcasts, but I would just wind up thinking too much as opposed to focusing on the artwork. Yeah. So I try to pick stuff without words or best, or at least words, music in different languages that I don't understand. Then the voice just becomes an instrument. Yeah. So that makes that easier. Yeah.
You guys do the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do exactly the music thing.
I mean, for like that song or like more spiritual things I make, I put on a matching soundtrack.
Nice.
Yeah,
so the theme you're working on is the music you put on in the room. Nice.
And it goes on and on and on. It's really annoying actually because I started a project and I put on like the music, the matching music, it matches my mood and the work. And I re-listen to that every day, like for hours or like weeks. And then when the project is just finished, I stop listening to the soundtrack as well. So.
And then it's like, in the head.
And then it clears my head again. So,
Awesome.
Really
Clinton is in, guys.
Hey Clinton.
Hey Clinton! Wish you were here!
There you go. He's going to be here like in a few, right? Yeah, he's going to be here in November, Clinton Loft House. And we're doing a workshop together with in Amersfoort, made by Draamlust. And we're doing a horror workshop. So we're going to do a whole night from 26th to 27th of November in the night. We're doing
There are a few spaces left, I think.
There are still just a few places left. So
Be our shout outs for you, Clinton and
Clinton also does really awesome work. Check him out online. It's Clifton Loft House.
Yeah.
So maybe you guys can get him on.
he's in the he's in the chat. If he's here, when he's here,
26th. See if you can make it fit.
There you go. We can try.
Yeah, see what happens.
Sounds okay. Renee, are you gonna work with animals sometimes, like elephants or lions, or make thematic with beasts or?
Yes,
like
absolutely. I did some composites with lions really early in my career, and I have done. I made a Cerberus, so it's like a Cerberus, but a Cerberus. It's a cat with 3 heads and 9 eyes, and I love that, and I'd love to do more. I'm actually building a whole monster series, but some of my skills aren't quite where I want them yet, so nothing's public. But I do have a monster series coming out. So I have been trying to get my hands on tigers, live tigers. So if anybody has access to live tigers, let me know. I am looking for them.
I happen to have a tiger.
Yeah, what do you know?
Omar Grunt says my favorite Canadian. When the Appelman is in the house. Hi. Should we put another photo on?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Cut it and then go through this. Bam. Normally I have a intern doing this, but now I'm doing it on my own intern.
So this image was shot just a few minutes after the previous one. So basically I was facing right and I turned left and I changed the wig and dress on my sister. And this image we did live on Creative Live, so if you want to watch the How It Was Done video, you can check it out on creativelive.com. If you search Renee Robyn, there's 2 on there. That's genuinely not a pitch. I actually really love this image. It was really fun to make. I made it ahead of time before the Creative Live class so that we had something for marketing. And I just loved how it came out because this is my home city, like this whole area, minus the mountains were not there. And the entire city and a chemical plant and everything is in there, and I removed it all. So it kind of makes me think of what it would look like before, the humans went in and fucked it all up. But, because I never used to appreciate where I live and where I grew up until I left a lot, and I started coming back and started seeing it a little bit differently. And that's kind of what happened back home, is it's like, holy shit, that's like a huge river, and we have nice hills and grass and lots of open space, whereas when I was younger, I hated it. So it's kind of fun to go back there with new eyes, and then of course edit it as if all the humans aren't there.
with fresh eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I always hated the Canadians for that.
Yeah.
Right? All the time getting to know those people, like Joel Robinson and you and Ben, they all go like, yeah, well, I went to my backyard and shot some images, and then they come back with lakes and mountains and stuff. And I go in my backyard, it's like city. Holland, flat.
But see, for us it's different because you guys have such amazing architecture and history. I mean, for us, old is 100 years.
I know.
And so it's like a totally different perspective. I mean, like I come here and I'm just like, oh my god, all the architecture. It's totally just, you know, you have to be a tourist in your own country, but usually you have to leave for a while to come back to see it.
Yeah, you never appreciate what's around you.
No. It's hard to. Yeah, it is harder. So this next one here I created because I am terrified of spiders. Anybody who's on my personal Facebook page or who's been unfortunate enough to get on there will know this. And lots of other unpleasant things about me. So I photographed the model. He's a friend of mine. His name is Eric Terborg. He's actually a composite artist in Quebec as well. And he does really good work. And he's also an armor maker. So he makes incredible stuff. And so we photographed this in Toronto for a focal point a couple years ago. And this is one of the images that I hadn't used. And I was sitting there and I had a nightmare about giant spiders. And I was like, that is it. I've had enough of being afraid of spiders. So I went and I got a stock image of spiders because there's no fucking way I'm going to photograph a spider that close. I have limits. I have limits.
Provoke it a bit.
Nope.
And then she became a macro.
Right? I started in macro.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I started in macro. But in any case, so yeah, I was terrified of spiders, so I had this dream, and so I was like, all right, enough of that. And so I had to edit that photo. I had to put Super Troopers on the TV really loud.
Super Troopers.
Yeah, and then I had to edit it really zoomed in, so like all the hair, I could convince myself was like human hair, not spider hair. So it was really fun because it's, it's like, if that was me, which is not me because I'm not, a dashingly blonde Viking dude with a sword, but, that's like me trying to be like, I'm not afraid of you anymore, when in real fact, I haven't gotten any better, but
that's the thing with photography, right? We can make up whatever we want.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is actually part of the Monster series. So they're slowly trickling out basically the ones that I really like.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. This one I created in Holland.
I remember that one.
This one was really fun. I basically I was writing a blog post on failure and what failure meant to me, and so there is an associated blog with this. It's really long and involved, and I won't get too far into it because if you want to read it, you can. But basically, there's a girl here, her name is Chloe, and I was like, I have this idea for a shot. Would you be cool doing it? And so I was like, you're gonna be kind of on your face,
on the ground, eating dirt.
Yeah, and I felt kind of bad because like a lot of my work is very like strong and empowered men and women.
And then you,
poor girl. I mean, she's so sweet, and we had the same color hair and everything. And I was like, oh, this chick's awesome. She's like my spirit animal. I have lots of them. And I was like, so we're gonna do the anti of what I normally do, and just like, blah. So we're shooting her with her like face, and I'm like, I need her feet. So I'm like, can you just like grab her ankles and lift?
Oh, you actually just
throw and throw.
No, we didn't throw. I edited out fingers because there's Adrian Summerling had her ankles, and it's like you're wearing pants under the skirt, right? It's just like right. And so yeah, we composited it all together. She did have leggings on underneath, so I didn't feel bad. But I was like, can you just like throw her skirt a little bit? But yeah, it was fun. I liked it. There's actually a bunch of images in this, I think, from making artwork over here. I happen to make a lot of my favorite artwork here because there's so many blindingly talented people here.
Here's a question maybe to do that. How do you all get the ideas to make these fantastic photos? The characters, the backgrounds?
I ate a lot of crayons when I was a kid.
And now it's also just blah. Where do we get those crayons?
So this is not dyed, it is crayons.
Yeah, this is crayons. I mean, I think that's different for everybody. Every single person I've ever met, their creativity comes from a different place, a unique place. So, I mean, I grew up I grew up on a farm, so that we didn't have television or anything like that. And, I mean, we did, but there was no point. And, so you're surrounded in nature all the time, and then I was obsessed with fantasy, and then video games came out, and I was like, what? And I played every Final Fantasy up until 10, like start to finish, all the way through with all the secret level stuff and everything, 100% completion, so I was really, really into all of that kind of stuff, and I think that is where a lot of the visuals come from. I hadn't realized how much of an impact Final Fantasy had on my artwork until I played 10-2 like a couple of years ago. I just kind of opened up and I was like,
images.
oh, there it is. Yeah, so I think those games may have influenced me more than I thought they did.
Nice.
But I also when I was a kid, I found this just recently. I had moved last year, and I found this photo album, and my dad had traveled all over the world and photographed. I mean, he has photos from like Everest in the 70s, and like the outback of Australia, and the Sahara Desert and stuff like that, from when people didn't really do as much tourism as they do now. And so I always had his photos, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And I had taken some pictures of my cat. And so what I did was I had taken pictures of the fish tank and taken pictures of my cat, and then we got them printed, and they were awful. I was like 6. And then I'd taken scissors, and I'd cut them all out, and I'd like put my cat like jumping into the fish tank, right? And like all this stuff. And so I was trying to Photoshop before I knew it was a thing, So I say I just do digital cut and paste now, but
it's been in there.
I guess so. I didn't even realize it until quite recently that like, oh, I did that. Younger me was already eating crayons.
Yeah, there's a guy here. I start eating my kids' crayons right now.
Go nuts. Put him in your mouth. It only works till he's 10. Now he's like,
yeah, too late, Marco. You already eat 10 now?
Mushrooms? No, I have never done that. I'm not condoning that.
Jolien, creativity?
Yeah, how did you do it?
Both of my parents are incredible nerds. So they have Lord of the Rings books and the whole Star Trek videos.
VHS.
In their homes. But what I really remember from the time when I was younger, they had like the Dark Crystal and the Never Ending Story.
Never Ending Story.
And you can see, I think both of those styles still in my work. Like a really more bizarre style of fantasy.
True.
I was so scared for the Dark Crystal, by the way.
Both those movies scared the shit out of me.
The giant turtle.
Getting up with it.
I always wanted to get the white dog,
That was a good one.
Oh, when the horse died?
Oh,
yeah.
so sad.
Yeah.
Did you read the books?
Yeah, I could read books.
We have 3 people inspired from very similar youths.
Same here.
And I drew a lot when I was younger, and I drew a lot. And then I got Desk Pencil Pro, and I started to cut and paste everything together what I wanted. I just started to make images, like styles, looks, what I thought was pretty, what I tried to build. And then later on, when I was like 80 or 18 or 90, I started to discover more costumes. Like costumes can also like tell a story. You don't have to do everything with photography or drawing or concept art, but costumes can also tell stories. So I started to make stories with costumes. And that's what I still try to do. Just try to envision, to write a story with fabric and other stuff. Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that, because I actually love the designers, and that's exactly what I'm looking for in the designer as well.
Yeah.
It's like, what is the story you were going for? What are you looking for? And then you try to combine the 2 dreams into one thing.
Yeah.
But there are designers there that really don't have a story. They just create and like,
They just, sometimes I think people just throw stuff on something.
Exactly, and that's not what I.
And that's not what I want to do. I just want to emulate the story. Feeling or style, why would she wear that? What does she want to accomplish?
Where she's going to, what's happening.
What's her background? So
And then it all makes sense.
And then it all makes sense for me and for the viewer, hopefully.
Definitely.
Yeah, and if you have somebody wearing it, I mean, you can tell them the story, and they can, if they're good enough, they can really get into it as well.
Usually that's the nicest part when a model just wears my items. It's immediately when they see themselves in the mirror,
They go into it.
It's like they pop into character immediately, and that's the nicest thing to see. It's like, I did this right.
Nice. Yep.
She gets it.
There you go. Yeah. There's a story there, and
There's a story there.
she feels it.
Yeah.
Nice. Roderique, how do you get your inspiration stories?
I was a child of the 80s.
It was acceptable.
I know where
this is going.
I grew up on Transformers and Inspector Gadget and Ulysses and all those amazing animations. Star Wars was already there, of course. But also I had this amazing fairy tale book.
Which one?
From Grimm's Fairy Tale, with drawings of Anton Pieck in there.
Oh, I love Anton Pieck as well.
Those stories, I mean, those were the real Grimm stories, not the
the softy version.
I love those really horror macabre fairy tale stories.
Yeah, I got into those as
Bad
well.
endings.
Best endings.
About pieces of your foot to fit in a glass slipper, something like that. So I grew up with that, and a lot of visual stuff came at me a lot. And I had a lot of toys. I had all the Star Wars toys. I had all the Legos. I had all the He-Man stuff and all the Transformers and stuff. What I would do, I wouldn't just play with Transformers and play Transformers. I would incorporate them. I would build this whole huge city of Castle Grayskull and everything together. Put every character in there, and all the characters had their own characteristics. I mean, Yoda was a Jedi, but he could lift like Transformers. I would build these whole stories together with a very good friend of mine. And we would spend ages on the attic just playing our stories. And I would have my secrets in the story, he would have his, and then we would start, and we could play for months.
You were like basically designing campaigns.
Campaigns,
campaigns and stuff and everything.
motion.
Well, we didn't do stop motions though. We should have actually.
Wasted childhood.
One photograph of the whole thing, but yeah.
Nice.
And people are probably going to regret me because at some point I got very interested. I wasn't really technical, but I got interested in how things worked.
Yeah.
So I took a screwdriver
And sort of.
and killed all my masks, vehicles, all my Transformers and everything. I took everything apart just to see how it worked. That's me as well.
I did the same thing.
I thought I could put everything together again, but then
I was the exact same guy. I can do this.
so now I can. And then that became a story as well. Then that became the story of the big fallout, and only the magical creatures survived because all the technical creatures like Transformers were dead. Something like that. I don't know. Everything came together in my head, and I started building things. And I grew up with computers very early because my father was really geeky about that. He always wanted to first things and stuff. So yeah, I got into deep paint and moving pixels around to colorize things and a scanner and stuff. So I was always creating things. And even with the toys I had and the stories I made, if I didn't have something, I would build it. I would just take a cardboard box and make a spaceship out of it, because why not? And then you drew on it and you took everything you have and just built something, and from that, that has always been with me actually. Just doing stuff.
Building things.
Making stories.
MU says, it feels like I'm watching and listening to the Champions League of photography.
Champions League of photography. Definitely Champions League of designers.
Yeah, sure.
Follow Roderique images.
Here's somebody says Anton Pieck for inspiration.
Yeah, that's what you just said. The book.
Definitely the
Omar says, where's Aad? Just mentioned Adrian, but where is he? And there's something going on in the chat, so if you want to see that, go in the chat.
There you go.
And John is here. John from Do It Your Own Photography. John Aldrin.
John Aldrin.
Hi John. Hi John.
I don't know you, John, but
He's very nice.
Roderique is here. No,
that's not
Roderique. But I can do this.
that's mine.
Did I
No,
make
I can do this. No.
Oh dear.
It was good.
Fired.
You're fired. There it is. Yes.
While we're talking about the Star Wars and the kids, might as well just show the Star Wars and the kids.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, Star Wars got a new life last year, and what I really love about that is that now you get all these kids running around loving Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I go like, oh, look at that. So I met these two guys, these two brothers, at a party at my sister, and they were friends of my nieces, and one had the the one on the left had this huge lightsaber with him. I was like, oh, cool. Can I see it? The whole thing with it. And the other one just came from a birthday party where it was Star Wars themed. So he had this whole
Stormtrooper.
DIY Stormtrooper, like
so
just a T-shirt and some black lines on it, and that was it. And I was really stoked about it. And then I thought, let's do something with so I showed them my pictures, the nice ones, not the horror ones. And they were really excited about it. They said, can you make us like that? And I was like, yeah, sure. That's exactly what I wanted to do, but I needed them to work with me. So I took 5 minutes in a corner somewhere, just took a picture of them standing, and usually the pose and the reaction on their faces which works. It doesn't really matter how they pose or something. I mean, it's children, but you can see they're smiling on their face and they're really excited about what's happening. And I could tell them, you're doing this and you're doing that, and that's exactly what they envision.
That's the great thing about kids. They don't have any egos in the way. They're just like,
they just do it. Yeah, you just need to get them excited.
Yeah.
So I got them excited, and then it was basically just cutting them out in Photoshop and putting them on a different background. Got the models from Pixel Squid, which made my work quite easy. It's 3D models you can incorporate into Photoshop.
I love Pixel Squid.
Yeah, Pixel Squid is cool and quickly. And I printed this one out as a poster, which hangs in their bedroom. I'm really proud of it.
Especially when you're as young as that.
Yeah.
It makes a huge impression.
Oh yeah. This one will last. They'll come back to get you. Yeah, definitely.
So I really love making that one. And this is my side project, crazy wedding photography. I don't like doing weddings. I'm actually editing a wedding at the moment, but I do like doing. I'm not a wedding photographer, but somehow I keep getting into the theme. So me and a dramatist and a good friend of mine, Aqualibre, we came up with something we could do with weddings, because people are getting married every time. So we came up with a crazy wedding photography. What we do, we talk to the couple and we say, what are your ideas and stuff, what do you like, and how crazy do you want it to be. A couple of years ago you had these images with a wedding couple running away from a T-Rex.
Yeah, and then it was like an 80-80 walker from Star Wars, Oh, Godzilla.
Yeah, so I thought, well, I can do that too. I mean, we can do that. So this was one of the latest ones we did. Really fun because they had something with dragons. I was like, yes.
Thank you.
How did you get the dragon?
The dragon is a toy dragon. I found it at a toy shop.
I already thought so.
When you were
It's a small
I
one.
hope so.
Yeah, toy photography is really hard.
It's like this big.
If you haven't done it, it's like this big.
Yeah.
And
Did you focus stuff it?
I eventually did.
Yeah.
After
It's the
many
only way you can
failures,
get
I
them.
did. But it worked. And then I photoshopped everything. We went out to somewhere in the dunes. It was freezing cold. I was freezing cold, but they were really freezing cold. But they were really excited to do this.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah. Getting everything together.
No, they're warm though.
They are.
Yes.
Hey,
Dennis.
I know that guy.
You know that guy.
I know that guy.
It's Mr. Dennis himself.
Nice.
This is an awesome shot.
Yeah,
So
this was
good.
one of the images I did in Denmark. Dennis invited us over for a workshop.
I just got back from there doing a workshop with them too. Nice group of people. Really nice group.
We're talking about workshops, doing that with them.
Yeah.
Coming
Good.
January.
They're fun. This was actually the second workshop we did with him in Copenhagen. We didn't have a model. I usually don't need a model. As long as there's a person around, that's okay. And Dennis is awesome, and I just had a few goggles and a few ideas. It was like, oh yeah, just stand here. We spent the whole evening just shooting different poses which I would use for the workshop. And the other day we actually made the image. Everyone made the image, the same one. And that was really fun. If you do a workshop and people follow you along, and at the end of the workshop you go into the back of the room and you look at all the screens.
Yeah.
And you see all the same images.
But different. Or...
No, actually they were all quite the same.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also fun if you see the differences.
Yeah.
That's true. But it's really good to know if that it worked.
Yeah,
What
you explain something,
Yeah.
they got it, exactly. Yeah, not that you like explain and...
That's interesting because when I teach my workshops, I always encourage people to make their own artwork. So I'll be like, okay, we're gonna all have the same ingredients. everyone's going to have basically the sugar, the flour, the salt. And but at the end of the day, I will explain how I do my coloring and how I do the cutting out and everything like that. But I still want everyone to tell their own story.
Of course.
Right? And that's something that I always kind of sometimes battle with myself is, do I have everyone make the same image and we all get the same image, or do I let people use their own creativity and I give them a bunch of tools and I kind of help them do it? And so, I'm always kind of torn with that. I still haven't done the way that yourself and a lot of other retouchers do it. I don't know which is better, but I haven't had anybody hate the class yet, so I guess it's okay.
Everybody different style. I think that's why I heard from other people who do like both the workshops, all the workshops, and you hear like they love how to see how the other one does it and how the other one teaches.
Yeah.
So I think everybody just loves getting like the little bits of everyone, one doing the same, other one giving their own ideas.
You just do get like a unique workshop.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I've got here for you a comment. League of photographers, haha. Tell Jolien, my photo shoot of Queen League of Legends was amazing.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I know League.
Yeah. And there's a question from Emil. Obvious there is nothing holding you guys back making unreal images. Is there nothing making you insecure making your creations?
Everything? Everything! All the time! Every day you're like, fuck!
There was a prize for this question. I think this question would won the evening.
Every time I start up something, this is going to be awesome. And then it's like, okay, this could have gone slightly better. Oh my god,
It sucks!
so bad.
Yeah. I think we all go through the same thing, going through the phases of, oh my god, this is going to be amazing, and oh my god, no!
Okay, just fix it. You're a professional, just fix it.
It's good enough.
It's awesome.
How do you handle that kind of moments when you
Don't
are
freak out.
crying?
Try not to freak out.
Keep going. Keep going. Yeah, don't give up. Like we all reach that point.
Yeah.
And then people sometimes give up at that point. They're like, this is not going to happen, and they walk away. And it's the not giving up. It's the keep.
The part that I think is funny is that people think that at some point in your career, those moments stop happening.
Yeah.
They just get scarier.
It gets worse and worse.
Because you're like, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm so fucked right now. I cannot figure this out. It just gets worse. So, yeah, it goes into the blog post about failure that I have, and it's basically, I have accepted the fact that I have failed my way to success every single image that I make. Because typically I try a bunch of stuff that doesn't work. And then eventually something does work. And sometimes things go together really seamlessly, like the picture with my sister with the wave and the magic and shit. Sometimes they go really quickly.
Those are rare.
It doesn't happen that way all the time. I've even had workshops where I've done the image where at the end of it I'm like, well, everyone in the room has a better image than I do. This is one of those days.
I'm gonna go home and fuck those bitches.
Go home, eat a whole lot of chocolate.
Yeah, I'll just go eat a pound of chocolate, cry a little bit,
Have a wine bottle.
and carry on.
Yeah, it's not always seamless. It's the difference between an amateur quote unquote and a professional quote unquote is that the professional has failed more times than the amateur has ever even tried.
So many times.
And that's it. You just got to keep not quitting. I think the hardest thing. I made a post about this recently also. Is that I think the hardest thing is not quitting is not the hardest thing. Well, sorry, correction. Quitting is the hardest thing. Not quitting is not the hardest thing. Quitting is the hardest because you've broken a promise to yourself. And that is something that takes years to get back because you break the trust with yourself. And that I think is much harder and much more damaging than just like, taking a breather, walking away for a little bit and then coming back at it with fresh eyes. I think that's far more healthy.
It's healthy, but I think that's also one of the hardest things to do.
It's so hard.
You can just say, nobody saw this. I can just toss it away. Nobody will know. And just to take that breather, walk away, and then say, okay, now we start again.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the key that separates the people that see us or see the photographers and go like, oh my god, I want to be that, but I'm not there yet? Is it this? Is it the quitting or the being able to step back, letting it rest and come back towards it?
I think always, in my opinion, it's just hours put in and quality of hours. It's not just like, oh my god, I threw 10,000 hours at it and I'm still horrible, and my work looks the same as it did 3 years ago. Those are not quality 10,000 hours. that's not effective use of time.
That's not learning. That's
Yeah,
repeating
exactly.
the same thing over and over. And
Yeah,
not
I
getting
think you
good at
just
it.
need to push yourself out of that comfort zone.
Yeah, scare the shit out of yourself.
Oh yes.
Fail, lots. Just
Try new things, fail, keep
There's a
trying.
lot of spiders.
No, we're not going there. I'm calling Roderique when I'm a spider. Roderique, there's a spider.
I don't care. Amy was saying, okay, thanks for your honesty. So I'm not the only one in this.
No.
So
Keep failing and keep doing.
Lots of
What I usually do if I'm doing an image, if it's for a client or for myself, if it doesn't work, I'll put it away. And I mean, I've got thousands of images lying around. I'll take an image which has a good vibe around it, which
Yes.
feels
Yeah.
good, and just do something with that.
Yeah. Do something you
Do
can
something
do,
you can
know,
do, yeah.
and then switch
Go back, feel
Yeah.
happy about it, post it, have
Yeah.
likes on it. I was like, oh look, I'm really that good. Go back to the image and then
Push yourself a little
push
bit
yourself
more.
a bit more.
Work,
Yeah.
work
But
it.
every time you fail, you learn something which you can put into the next
Yeah.
one.
But failing is not a bad thing.
Definitely.
A lot of people see failing as a bad thing. You need to fail so many times to get better. So if you fail, congratulations.
You've learned something new.
Yeah.
There you
do
go.
do you know the guy Nusha Glenn?
No.
No? He says, what's up?
What's up?
He says, just dropping in to say that. Just we did that. Nice. Keep the questions coming. We're almost there for the break. We do the break at 9, I think. It's okay. We're on a roll now, so
You can do your links pictures.
that's nice.
Well, we got a couple more. We can do a couple more.
Roderique?
Roderique.
We begin with
Yeah.
Jolien. We begin at Jolien. It's okay. After the break.
Yeah.
This one we already discussed. I
Yes.
think, yeah. Whoa.
Oh my god, that is amazing. I love that.
That's, well, it says so down there, the Darkround Collective. It's a collective I'm part of. Clinton is also part of the Darkround Collective. It's a global band of misfits. Actually, we all make digital art, and different kind of digital artists. And every year we have a few packages we bring, we release. All of them themed on a certain theme. Either it's Halloween, it's Christmas, it's Valentine's Day, Easter. This one I'm not quite sure. Oh, this one was urban legends. So I took a Japanese urban legend of I keep forgetting her name. But we get a few themes and then we start building our images, and I really like those because it's not client work, it's just free work. It's horror themed, which I really like as well, and we're free to do anything we want, so it's fun to do. And you always like to push yourself a little bit further than the last one. Working in themes, if you lack creativity or if you lack ideas, find themes. Themes are everywhere. Every month there's this list of October themes where there's a theme for every day. Make your own list of themes you like to do.
Do you like scribble down little things you
I have a notebook that I write in
Sometimes,
all
yeah.
the time. I mean, if I can't sleep, I'll just get up and start writing words and stuff, and just usually just so I can get to sleep. Just like get the shit out of my head, which is usually nonsensical at 4 in the morning, anyways. But I mean, it's just to get out of my head. And then if I have this book, when I'm really gridlocked on an idea, I just kind of flip it open and sometimes I'll just like turn the page and stop at one and see what I land on, and then force that into my idea. That word is my client. For that day. So
Dictionaries work as well.
dictionary is also really good. Yeah.
Or random books, just open a book and pick a word.
Really?
And build out the story off of that. It's just like brainstorming. You just get something and then you impulse your own brain to mix that other thing.
Okay, I'm usually so clogged up with ideas.
Nice. Just shaking it off. Nothing. No more inspiration.
Matthew Barnes says, hi people, nice shout out for DRC.
Yes, Matt. Hey,
So
Matthew.
Matthew. One question to close off this first chapter. How long does it take to finish a photo, and how long for taking it, and how long for processing? Do you draw it on first, or do you do it another way?
If I'm shooting, usually I kind of have an idea, so I invite a model or a person over. Shooting usually takes, if I have a really clear idea, shooting takes like half an hour. It's like, or maybe 10 minutes even.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Hello, just stand there, do that, and that's it. And that happens quite a lot. So I don't really like working with models and makeup artists because I have to wait so long sometimes. But yeah, if my idea is clear, my shooting time is quite short. In Photoshop, if I'm finishing an image in Photoshop, that can take up to 2 to 3, 4 hours maybe.
Really?
And that's it.
That's short?
Yeah.
Wow.
Somehow I've learned to work that quickly because I don't get bored on the image, but I do get sidetracked.
Did the 365 help speed up the
the
process?
365 project, which I did at the beginning, did really help because you had a deadline. And
Like
you
every
had,
day one
every day one image, and especially if you're doing Photoshop, you had like I started my picture at 6, ended at 7, then started editing from 8 till 10, and then I had to post it, and that was it. So you learn quickly, and because I knew Photoshop already, and because you do it every day, and that's putting in your hours, you get
It's
a custom
quality
feel.
hours.
Yeah, it's a good
Was
training.
it a competition or was it for yourself?
It's a 365 is just for yourself. I know a lot of people who started one and who finished one, and that's actually how I started learning photography as well, just doing a self-portrait every day. And then Photoshop came in, and I was like, oh yeah, I know this program, let's try what can I do with that?
Mix it in.
And mix it in, and then it started rolling and rolling. I did a second year as well. So every day a picture, every day self-portrait. That was really awesome, because it also pulls you out of your comfort zone every day.
Gives you a challenge every day to work towards
definitely.
the deadline.
Sometimes you have themes and sometimes you don't, and sometimes you just take your iPhone and take a selfie and that's it. But usually try to make something out of it. It's a good
Yeah.
process.
How long is your process?
For me, it hugely depends. I mean, I've had some images take me a month. Those are typically the ones where either I have a huge learning curve to complete the image on something I've never done before. So then it's the shiny red dot. It's like I work on the image until I hit a roadblock, and then I'm like, shit, now what? And then I'll go find another image to work on that I can like scribble on and experiment with, because I have a huge catalog of footage. Yeah, and so then I'll try to make it work with that one, take the learnings from that one, and then apply it to the image, and then work to the next roadblock, and then go work on something else, and then so the learning experiences ones can take quite a while. I did have one image that took me over a year to learn all the things that I needed to learn. Quality hours. But then some of them, I mean, I've had some composites fall together. If I have everything pre-vised out, so if I pre-draw it, if I've got like my color themes figured out, I have my stock figured out, I don't have to do any searching, like all my ingredients are there, I can slam a composite together in like 20, 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Pretty quick. If my masking doesn't have, if I don't have to cut out like crazy hair or anything like that, it can go quite quickly. But then, you know, on average, the average image is 2 to 4 hours, sometimes 6 hours. That's usually my window of where it kind of slides around. It depends how big the file is and how many pieces and how many elements. So it's hard to say. I mean, if I'm just stacking in a few layers, then yeah, that can go very, very quickly. Yeah.
Jolien, how was the process of
Creating a dress from scratch.
She's like 30 minutes, 3 hours.
As a costume designer, it's different than you guys, because you have the image in front of you and you don't have to work with fabrics and the trimmings and everything. But usually for me, it starts with like a doodle. I start with the shape of the model, the shape of the dress I want to achieve. Shape is very important for me because it tells a lot as well. And then just like with your images, if you have like the images in stock, if you have the materials in stock, you can go very fast. Example, that top, I had all the materials, I had everything, so I made it in a day.
Nice.
So it is possible. It doesn't happen a lot. But usually like a big dress, it's like a phoenix dress. Took me like 4 weeks.
And is it also searching for who makes the fabric, where to get it, or do you go like to one spot and pick out all the little bits and
I pick
pieces?
it from everywhere, for fabric markets to the internet, a lot on the internet,
Nice.
because a lot of fabrics are not available in the Netherlands, or they're like really highly priced, and I don't want to pay that.
Do you know the details of what type of fabric you want when you've done the doodle, or are you just searching and feeling like in Photoshop you can kind of search and feel what feels
I
best?
already know when I started to sketch out something, what kind of fabric I want, what kind of feeling I want, what kind of movement I want, because it does also, of course, move. It's
Definitely.
not like standing picture, so it also has to have a certain flow,
Flow to it, yeah.
like it's silk or like velvet, that's more like heavy, or it's like your dress. Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely there already. Which parts I want to have like rigid, like armor, like it needs to be really like tight and strong in here, but it can be flowy at the bottom.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And everything starts with just a little tiny doodle. On a post-it.
On a post-it?
On a post-it.
Is that on purpose that you do it on a post-it?
No, because usually the post-its are next to I do have like sketching pads everywhere in my house and everywhere in my workspace, and I can do a lot in it, or just write an idea or stories in it, what I want to accomplish, what I want her to look like. So yeah, and then it can go from one day to like 4 weeks max. It depends how difficult actually the materials are to get. A lot of it needs to be imported from different countries. So.
You gotta wait on it and work with it, yeah, definitely.
That's what I love about LA. The fabric district there is amazing. You have everything in one place, so you can just shop for one costume in one day.
What is this witchcraft?
Don't move.
No, it was fantastic.
Nice.
Just everything in one place. I was like, if I wake up today and I want to make like a warrior costume, and I have everything in my head what I want, like the trimmings and the lace and the base fabric, I can go there
Get it
in
off.
one day, get everything and start the next day.
Oh, nice.
Insane.
Cool.
But not here.
It's almost break time, so there are some comments here. You should make a Photoshop composition of the extraordinary league with you all guys in it.
We're missing a few, but okay. We're missing a few.
Yeah, somebody says Aad must come onto the...
Agent, Clinton must be here.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
And amazing pictures, jaw-dropping, all the things, all kind of comments. And there was one question, we can ask it now, but think about the question and then do it after the break. What artist or photographer do you use as inspiration? So keep it in mind. Yeah, you can
This
think
table.
about it. So we do a little break, like 15 minutes, 10 minutes?
15 minutes.
Yeah, and we're gonna do the break. See you back soon. Bye bye. sound is on. The sound is on.
Thanks for the heads up this time.
I'm eating a chocolate if anybody wants to know what the cracking sound is. I'm just eating chocolate. Welcome back.
Who's talking about clothes? Feels so good. Duh. And then Fairytas comes on and makes us all look like chumps.
Right? And now we get killed.
Yeah. This is why we let her show her stuff.
Yeah, we are here again. Hello. Hey. Did you think about the question in the
The inspiration.
Your inspiration, yeah. What
people
artists and people inspiration, yeah.
Yes, I have my inspiration list for sure. I didn't realize until a couple of years ago that I'm hugely influenced as a kid, once again, by... Oh damn, I just forgot his name.
This is your brain like, fuck you.
Yeah, right. You're alive. Oh, you're gonna forget this. You love
Has
art
everything
so
lined
much.
up and then it's gone.
Yeah, no, he's a painter. Does very realistic fantasy stuff. He has the Death Dealer painting.
Nope.
Death Dealer? Nobody knows the Death Dealer?
Sorry.
Shit.
Nope.
I told it Frazetta. Frank Frazetta. I didn't realize it, but he did the artwork on a lot of the fantasy novels that I was reading, and I was just obsessed with the artwork. I was obsessed with those covers, and I didn't realize that he had done them. And then, of course, there's Louis Royo is another one. I'm mostly hugely inspired by paintings and painters because they do stuff that isn't real. I'm obsessed with a bunch of CGI artists and things like that. Their names are completely escaping me right now, but I know their artwork anywhere to look at it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, for years I was hugely inspired by your work because, of course, back in Canada land, I stalked your ass. Yeah. Same thing with yours. Like all these people that create stuff that's totally surreal that doesn't exist in real life is definitely where my brain was massively inspired from. So, yeah.
Cool. My inspiration has always been, but I never knew it until I was like 15 or 16, was Thierry Mugler with his corsets and his abstract styles and fashion for women. And he made them into like this really ferocious, fashionable monsters, and I love it. I love it.
Nice.
Like he has like one design, and it's called, I think it's the Chimera, and it's like this scaly armored dress with like a big headdress in every color of the rainbow. It looks so cool. It looks amazing, and there's like this little video on YouTube where the model walks out and everybody's like, yeah, and that's my dream bag.
What was his name?
Thierry Mugler.
Thierry Mugler.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So he's a fashion designer, and my second one is Colleen Atwood.
Colleen Atwood, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
She does the custom designs for example, Snow White and Huntsman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a woman in Calgary that did a bunch of designs for Thor.
Really?
Yeah, and her costume designs are just off the wall. I'd have to look up her name again to refresh my memory, but
Yeah, you have to.
her stuff is awesome. She does a lot of major, like huge movies. I've never met her. I've always wanted to, but I mean, she's working on like the biggest movies in the world. So I got a couple more years to go.
Stalkers.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. It's like,
Liking, sending message. Nice.
Cool. And you, Roderick?
It's funny because we hardly name photographers as inspiration. Me neither, actually. I'm highly inspired by art streams. One of the biggest artists I've always been an admirer of is H.R. Giger.
oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Passed away a couple of years ago, sadly. Always loved his artwork and his concept art for movies and stuff. That was cool. I could get totally lost in his images, like what happens here and stuff. Wow.
I love it when it happens. What's happening? What's happening?
Zooming in, looking at it.
That's something that I aspire for in my artwork that I don't think I'm there yet, is to have the artwork where you can just stare at it for hours and figure it out. I mean, my stuff is definitely like double tap, scroll, double tap, scroll.
I'm getting there, I'm getting there. And I'm usually quite bad with names. I know people by their work, by their artwork and stuff. And names are really elude me. If I say, yeah, that image and that, I wouldn't know whose that would be.
It's the same with me, like picturing Rulo. It's like, who's this? And every time it went to the same person, and eventually I was like, oh my god, it's from the same person, and then a name attached.
And then you see like who it is.
Because I also have a few favorite directors of movies and video clips as well.
Definitely.
Names escape me, absolutely.
The one from.
The one from.
The guy who did The Fountain.
That one.
So good, so good.
Absolutely.
Love it.
And Björk.
Björk.
Björk is
all the clips, all the things. Movie. Yep.
Definitely. Music.
I have an interesting question though. What's your pet's name?
Pet's name.
Yeah, what's your cat's name?
What are the cat's name? Well, depends. I had 2 Sphinx cats, which are dead already. They died. One, what happens? It happens, sadly. But those were named Willow and Pixel.
Nice. Pixel.
Willow from Buffy, the Vampire Slayer.
I was thinking Willow from the Dark Crystal.
I was going there too, with the little guy.
No, not that one. No, he was named after Buffy.
Nice.
The witch. Even though it was a he, but Pixel made sense.
It makes sense.
We spent a month debating on names, by the way. But yeah, that was Pixel. And currently we have a girl named Tasha. She's named after Tasha Yar from Star Trek Next Generation.
Nicely done.
And the other one is Dexter. Mainly because he was reddish as a kitten. He's not red at all, but he's just as murderous.
Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory?
Yes. No, actually Dexter
The
from
other
the other
Dexter.
series.
The killer Dexter.
He's also a redhead as well. Eventually Dexter didn't turn out to be red, he turned out to be very hairy. That's Dexter.
Oh, I've had a lot of pets over the years because we grew up on a farm. So, but the current one, the last remaining relic of my childhood, she's 18 years old. Her name is Sprite.
Sprite.
She is a little white fluff ball of old. Yeah, I post so many photos of her when I'm at home, and I'm like, yay! I recently retired her from the farm. She was busy chasing squirrels and mice and birds and deer. She chased deer. She chased deer. This little tiny white cat chased deer out of the yard. Yeah. She just like puffed up and just like pounced off she lunged off the deck and just like chased these deer out of the yard. If there hadn't been witnesses, no one ever would have believed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Makes you think what
She's got some spunk. The worst part is that I feel like I'm looking at myself in the future. Like she's grizzled as fuck, old, doesn't care, and seen some shit. With no ears. She had her ears froze off in winter. Canada winters get very cold, and even though we have heated homes for them, like little cat homes that, they're very warm in winter, you have to look after your animals, right? But I mean, there's still barn cats that like they go kill things and they get out too far in winter, and they, she froze her ears off, and so we had to get them amputated, and that sucked. But she's good now. She's back and snuggling, and her fur is all grown back, and she's gaining weight. She's 5.5 pounds.
I always see her of you.
Yeah, we snuggle. We're buddies. I hope that when I'm 88 years old, which is the human equivalent, that somebody looks after me the way I look after her. I'm not having kids though, so I don't think it's gonna happen. I'll have a snuggly robot AI. Like, it's okay.
It is okay.
It is okay.
Jolien, any pets?
Yeah, I got 2 bunnies.
Bunnies, nice.
Yeah, just the tiny dwarf bunnies. The names are not original. It's just because sometimes it grows. You want to name your cat or your bunny like Starlight or all the cool names. Mine are called Cotton and Button. So.
Nice. Cotton and Button.
And then I got one cat, and she's like this really tiny, really slender cat, black cat with like large green eyes, and she was so pretty and so beautiful. So I wanted to give her like a really, really cool name as well. That didn't happen as well. It's because she has a tendency to, when she sees you, she goes on her back and she makes like this wiggle. Like she's dancing. So I called her Samba because it was nice.
The Samba. Awesome.
Black Samba.
Right. Coming to get you.
That's
awesome.
It
Coming-
grew like that.
Coming back to the fountain, it was Darren Aronofsky.
Darren yeah.
Aronofsky,
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did Requiem for a Dream as well, and Pi was his first movie. Where
All the good movies.
they were really good. Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would love to meet him one day.
Nice. I got a question for Jolien. From what material are you making those masks and all the other things?
Oh, it's all kind of different materials. It's just what I learned in the last 6 years. What works, what doesn't work for a certain shape. You can go very far with like just paper mache. I'm not gonna name any fancy materials. It's just what you have there. And paper mache is maybe a starting base, and you can put resin on it, so it gets really super hard, and then you can do all kinds of stuff with it. Yeah,
Mold and
mold it and everything. And for headdress bases, you can use, for example, some iron wire. And you just bend it, shape it, and you can build like with fabric or like with felt. Another layer on it, and just build on that. Yeah.
I knew a designer once. She made headdresses using chicken wire and paper mache was her base, and it worked. It was beautiful.
Whatever
It's how you dress it up.
Whatever
You just
works.
needed this structure strong enough.
I sent you the dragon a few months ago. The buddy was making a dragon with papier mache. And
That one.
the one was really
I have
dragon
to
face.
I have this book. Yeah. I was like, I like the
Well,
stuff
here we
we
can just
do.
cut to the...
Yeah, you can go to your pictures.
Yeah, let's talk. I'm so glad you're going after all of us. Work is so good.
So this is my white swan. I made this for one of Fiona's events, and the theme was Swan Lake, and she asked me to make something and model something for the poster for that event. I think she asked me like a week before I went to hang it, of course, to have a photo shoot there. A week before.
Crazy.
So I had like only a couple of days to make something.
And you come up with this.
And I came up with it.
I had like a week.
So you worked well under pressure.
Apparently I did. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I already had like the skirt fabric, which is really pretty. It had all this silver lace at the bottom. I already had that. I had the material for the corset, just the base layer. It's like a really strong cotton, it's couture. And I started to shape my form with the feathers. That's basically what I did. I just wanted to have something not like teeny tiny like the ballet dancer who are like really fragile, but I just wanted more like a flowy, like with the big swan hips, like she's doing like this with her arms, but then on her hips. So I made this really like more like Marie Antoinette style hips with like a really deep V shape to elongate the neck more. And made a matching headdress. I already started like making the Valkyrie headdresses. Maybe you saw those. Lara had it on with one of your photo shoots. And just this, it was the same style. It was logical. It just grew from there.
It fit right.
It just fit right in.
Interesting.
Yeah, the last image, the model who was modeling it is Maria Amanda. She's amazing. You already worked with her as well.
I worked with her last weekend in Denmark. She's amazing.
She's amazing. She's like the perfect little doll.
Yeah.
You sent me her.
She's incredible. She's so sweet.
And the photographer as well is amazing.
That's Lily Liu.
Yeah.
She's in Vancouver right now.
Yeah.
She's from Vancouver.
This was a side project. I wanted to create something nice in a day.
In a day? Sorry. Could you repeat that?
We're like, we edited a photo in a day. She's like, I made a fucking gown.
In a day.
With like
I had the gown already in the folder and everything just grew together. The little victory
Shoulder.
crown I have on was inspired with Snapchat.
Nice.
Yeah.
Snapchat inspiration.
And it's just, I want to make, sometimes I just really like to put aside all the costume stuff and just want to make a beautiful image. How I see it without like the help of the team. Just set up my camera, have a little remote control and just see where it goes. And this is one of them.
Do you pick your photographers or do they pick you?
Both.
You email them begging and going, please, I will give you everything you want. Probably.
I can't remember.
I probably thought about it at least.
I'm gonna send you an email as well.
For the cats also.
Yes, for the cats.
For the cats, yes, please. For the cats.
We just came up with a project for cats.
Armored cats.
Armored cats.
Because we can.
You're gonna put that on cats, it's gonna be like, the shit.
They're probably gonna work backwards.
It'll be like when you put cheese on their face and they're like, like cat malfunction, control alt delete.
Armored cheese cats. I can see this.
It's happening. It's happening.
If you ever want to see something really unique, YouTube cheese on face cats.
Cheese on face cats.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
pretty great.
Cucumber.
The cucumber works too.
Oh my god.
So you basically you made the dress and you took the picture yourself and everything.
Yeah. And
She's
everything.
also really good at photography and lighting and retouching. We're
I
so
can
fucked.
see that.
In a few days she'll be like, nobody gets my dresses.
You're an entity by yourself.
Yeah, it's
This is
really
an
like,
amazing picture.
I also just really like to...
And she's beautiful because that's a self-portrait.
I just like to understand everything also from image making, so that's why I like photography and I like editing and just like to do everything once in a while, just freshen
Loosen
up.
it up. I think the creative brain needs like different things to do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Officially, she's the most talented one at this table because none of us can learn to make fucking corsets in a day.
Nope.
Just lose that. We start now.
I look good in a dress though.
Yep. Definitely rocking a dress, not making it.
Not maybe.
Yes.
So this is a commission from a client from America, and she requested a dress that was inspired by a forest spirit, a forest wisp. And I tried to emulate like moss and like ferns with ostrich feathers. So I completely hand dyed every single ostrich feather.
How do you dye feathers?
In a day.
Oh, yeah. You just take dye that's good for feathers,
Yeah.
and you plop them in there.
Really? And then they dry, you just hang them in the
Yeah, they just dry in the normal shape again.
What?
Good, right? I was like, this is not looking good. It came out like a wet dog. Never going to fluff up again. It did. So,
really?
Yeah.
I guess that's what feathers do, right? I mean, every bird that flies in the
Yeah.
way. Yeah, interesting.
But I thought, well, ostrich is just when it got wet, they also fluff up again.
So you get a commission from somebody overseas,
Yeah.
and they just tell you like, I want something that's inspired by forest. These are my measurements. That's about it.
Basically. It's very nice for me if the client really has a story. If they are passionate about something, if they just can, usually it starts with, well, this is going to sound really strange, and I was like, no way. And then they tell their story. Well, I was very inspired by this and that. Like you guys tell, well, I was very inspired in my childhood by X and I can do something with that information. I really like that. When somebody just tells me what they inspired them in their childhood or from a TV show or something like that, I can really work with that. And then everything starts working and becomes an overload of information in my head. Then I make some sketches. I send them back to the client. They tweak a little bit or like, well, actually the top part I want to have like covered because it's going to be cold. So I make something that's covered. We go back and forth a little bit.
Get the details,
get
right.
And then just start creating. And then I just send some images from the in-process work to her, and so she can tweak it while I go. But that came out of it. I'm really proud of that.
So good.
The whole bodice is also I sculpted like branches
that go down from her.
In the waist.
Go down from her arms actually, because that fur, the fur fills up the form.
I see it
the
there.
branches.
Cool.
And then it goes down the
It looked
body.
like little bird
So
nests.
good.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Oh, sorry.
I don't think that Natalie is still watching. I hope so. I put
Maybe
your
she is.
dress on here. She asked me for a kimono-inspired dragon goddess. But the images she sent to me were actually Chinese style, hanfus.
Yeah.
So I made a combination of those dresses. Just made it really flowy, like really
I can see it.
regal. Like when she walks, it just whooshes.
Yes.
And then I made some appliques. I hand weathered some appliques in old gold and stitched them on like really nice, well-placed areas of the robe. So like on the train and on the shoulder pieces and on the sleeves. And unfortunately you can't see it in this picture, but she also has like a belt. And on the belt are like loop dragons.
Oh.
So yeah.
We're all like, that's awesome.
So intimidated right now.
She looks so beautiful.
Nice.
It's really, I'm really loving this picture. It really shows off the dress really well. This was a photo I took from the sidelines of Fabrice's workshop from the Free Spirits group. They organize these amazing days full of talent that comes together and makes amazing pictures together. And they asked if I was willing to come along with a set of costume, whole bust full of costumes, and just make a great day out of it. And this model was, I love her profile so much. She was amazing. The dress that you see there was also one of the ball gowns I made for Fiona's events. I started out this gown as something sweet, like something sweet and innocent and nice, and then I changed it halfway through into something that was not sweet enough, more like vampire-like with like armored pieces and
it still has the angelic feel type of compared to the black.
I wore it like with straight white hair, fangs, and white lenses.
Oh, nice.
And horns on top of it. But I also really like this because this is more like a regal medieval feeling.
It reminds me of She-Ra, actually. I photographed this a couple times, and every single time my fans who were into She-Ra are like, fucking She-Ra! And I'm like, it totally looks like She-Ra.
Then we should do a She-Ra shoot.
It looks like She-Ra, but with like a long skirt, so it just needs shorts.
Oh, I love Trinity. She was so beautiful. Okay, so I had the white swan, and then everybody was like, oh, when you're going to do a black swan. I was like, okay, let's do a black swan.
Nice.
Just
So
incredible.
actually the people who follow me online are amazing. I love them, and they come up with great ideas and great comments themselves. So they suggest to me, oh God, this is so pretty. It should have a black swan. I was like, well, you're right actually. It should have like a counterpart, like the white and black, the black swan. So I wanted to design something black. It was not black.
It wasn't?
Pretty black.
It's not black.
Well, it's green.
It's green.
red.
It's really dark green, but there's no black in there.
Our eyes are lazy, looks dark.
We go black, it's black. It's greenish black.
So that for me was like a little bit
Probably the wrong Nice.
like a trick in it. And I wanted to contrast all that green color with the red because it really works. It really pops out. So also with more of the story. I mean, Odile is like the princess swan. She's good and nice, and Odile is the counterpart of it. But I also really imagine that she's more like passionate, like more open and more luresome than Odile. So I made her chest red. So like her passion bursts out of her chest.
I can see it. Wow. You can see it. You can see it. So awesome.
There's a question
So intimidated right now.
Slowly fading out. Fading out. It'll be like you're sitting here.
Do you have some kind of tutorials or time lapse? How do you make these beautiful things?
I sometimes post time lapse on my Instagram, and I also have a Snapchat where I sometimes do mini tutorials. So how I, for example, cast my lioness from the Game of Thrones dress is also in these pictures. Okay. So if you want to see something, if you want
where
to,
you can find them. What's your Instagram and what's your Snapchat?
My Instagram is _Fairytas, and my Snapchat is Fairytas Fashion.
I will put it in the comments as well.
Yeah, sure. So people can see.
Nice. I have a question for Renee. Hi Renee, I'm Sharon from California. Hi. For everyone. How does traveling affect your work? Do you find changes in your work when you're when or after you've been traveling?
I'm always traveling. I actually had 2 months at home this summer. It was the longest I've been home in 5.5 years. I typically change cities every 7-ish days. So, and that's been for, 5.5 counting 6 years here. So there's certain places where I go where I'm more inspired than others. Europe really, really inspires me a lot. Vancouver really inspires me a lot. Los Angeles inspires me for the people, but I don't like LA at all. But the people that are there are very inspiring. I have to have a very strong regiment on sleep, and when my sleep goes sideways, my work goes sideways. And unfortunately, sometimes, like tomorrow morning, I have to be up at 5 a.m. It is 11, 10-ish. It'll be 11 when we're done. And we still have to clean up the studio tonight. But at 5 a.m. I'm waking up to catch a train to Germany, because I have 2 days in Germany that I need to get done first before I go possibly to the UK for 2 days, and then come back here, and then we have a lecture, and then it's like this constant thing. But I also know that I would rather live a life a little bit tired than regrets of I wish I had done this, right? I mean, I'm pretty comfortable and extremely used to suffering at this point, of like being too cold, not understanding language, not being lost, stuff like that. But there's just places where I go where I'm so inspired, and Europe is one of them, and I wish I could get a tourist visa for longer than 3 months so I could spend more time here. I have to get in a language visa or something, I think. But I mean, it's art is art and creativity is creativity. You just have to fuel it somehow.
So you feel it with like the beautiful sceneries you see along the way and the nice people you meet, and that's like your air.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I do need my time at home with like my cat, where I just don't get off the couch and Netflix for a week. I need that time. Yeah. But at the same time, it's I know that if I don't have change in my life, I get lazy.
Yeah.
And if I get lazy, then my creativity goes to shit.
Yeah.
And I have to just like constantly keep working, but with a balance of, okay, these are downtimes, so even here in Europe, I mean, after Photokina, I scheduled 3 days of like, I'm not leaving my bedroom. And I did it. I had a shower, I brushed my teeth, but I went from bed, I went to the computer for a little bit, and I got off the computer and I read a little bit, and then I was like, oh, it's time to nap. So I napped for 4 hours, right? So like I still have to schedule days where like I'm not talking to anybody, I'm not doing any emails, I'm not doing any editing. I mean, even time that's just social time. I mean, even like today, we're just doing like fun shoots, hanging out, doing stuff, but it's not client related.
Yeah. There were some comments about the dresses and all the things. Oh my God, costumes are so cool.
Yay, thank you.
Brian is here from the Netherlands. He was tuning in late, so he says, I'm definitely gonna do the rerun. And he's both crazy about the work of Renee and Roderique as photographer. So.
Yay.
Yeah, and Aad saying nice designs and photos. Too bad my sound is really sucks. Wish you all a great evening. So Aad.
Adrian.
Yeah.
Hey, Adrian.
Hi, Adrian.
His sound sucks. So
working on it.
Yeah, working on it.
Pushing buttons.
Yeah, we have some difficulty here with the Wi-Fi. I see. So
it's dropping.
I don't know. Do you have Wi-Fi on your phones on for now here?
It's on, but it's over there.
Maybe you can drop it or. No problem. Aad is leaving the room. Slams the door. Yeah.
And he's out.
No problem. We can do some pictures from Renee, I think. We'll switch.
Sure.
Switch
I don't want to.
Yes, the big one there.
Alright, face planting Chloe.
Face planting Chloe.
Me on a bad day.
Yeah. Oh, here we go! This is Jolene!
Is this yours? Is this yours?
This is a combination of two of us. So Fairytas and Jolene, of course, made the headdress and the gown and the cape and everything. And so it was basically, I had reached out to Jolene and was like, holy amazeballs, I want to shoot your stuff. And then I found her personal profile and I was like, why the fuck are we shooting a model? Damn.
We're working on it. We're working on
Reconnection successful. So it says.
So it says.
And this is the record. This is still
Live.
streaming.
No data.
Why?
KBS
Bye.
yeah, now it's going up.
Yeah. But it must be green here.
Frozen in space and time.
Frozen in space and time. Yeah.
Picture back.
It worked.
Ja, jullie is hier ook nog in de dingen samen, dat is ook klopt.
Change it to Renee's, wil dat doen?
Ja, dat is dat. Kijk hoor. Het swatch, ja, lijkt ook, ja. Is Google? Urban Legend? No? Why? Heb je een stekkertje in de buurt hier?
Nee, moet even stekker daar houden. Gewoon
Nee. Hij begint nu al veel meer te lopen dan net. Net stond hij nog steeds in de
Turning it on and on again.
Dat is dit.
Wat is de AZ?
Maar op zich loopt hij wel weer, denk ik. Net stond hij echt stil op nul. Just to see the Google, the YouTube working en zo.
And this is this one. And this is Fairytas. This is Renee. Renee is in the screen now. YouTube. Michiel, can you see the screen as well? Okay. See you. See you. Thanks, man. Thanks again. And this is back. This is back. Play it. Why?
Technology!
Just keep on going and learn from your mistakes.
Technology!
This is the joys of doing things live.
Yep.
Because you have no
We have a new computer, a new shit,
shit.
all die things.
Kick-ass computer then.
Yeah.
Yep.
Als je YouTube?
Voor de live.
Yeah.
Ja, YouTube. Even kijken hoor. Jip, beeld en geluid.
Yay!
Yes.
Yes, this seems good as well.
Seems
Yes.
good.
Good.
Nou, elke keer als je kijkt gaat er iets fout. Ik moet gewoon blijven geloof ik, zegt Brian. Ja, kom een keertje langs bij. Gaan we even samen uitvogelen wat er fout gaat. Yes?
What?
Cool, we're back.
I said to Brian, come to the studio, he works with OBS as well. Come to me for a day and then we'll figure out what to do about this kind of thing.
Perfect.
So we're good, we're back.
Yes, we're back. And we're moving.
Alright.
This picture.
Yeah, so we're talking about this one here. Yeah, so the image with the wave coming over the mountain is the exact same location, just photographed a couple of years later. So this location, where I had originally photographed from, is quite far back. But to get to this spot, which basically what happened is there's a big slide at some point in the past. And so it's extremely treacherous, extremely slippery. It's basically, you know, slip and fall and break lots of things if you fall kind of scenario. And I was like, hey, model, let's go there. Yeah, and so, you know, we kind of scampered like squirrels all over the place. And I was less squirrely. I'm not very squirrely. Yeah, I'm not very squirrely. Especially when you have 60 pounds of camera gear on your back and you're not squirrely. You're just like 3-point contact all the time. Yeah, I'm like a sloth. But anyway, she monkeyed up that thing pretty quickly. But she didn't have on the fancy dress and the wind wasn't blowing her hair, so I basically zoomed in really close and I drew in all of her hair because I just drew it all. And then the dress was actually photographed from a friend of mine, Kim Henry. We were shooting in Colorado and I had her jumping in the air looking all awesome. And the reason why I chose that picture is because it was shot at very similar ISO and shutter speed and light conditions, so that pulling that skirt over was relatively easy to match up. There's some hand drawing in there and had to add noise and whatever else. But, you know, it actually looks not too bad. When I put it up, I was like, I almost believe that. Nobody called me on it, so. But yeah, it was a really nice location, and for once there were no bears. The last time I photographed there, the reason why I didn't get very many shots at that location is I was shooting away happily, and then I saw some baby bear cubs, and I was like, oh shit, where's mom?
Is mom somewhere?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, growing up in, you know, around the Rockies, as soon as you see baby bears and you don't see mom, you just get the hell out. So we just, you know, basically hauled ass back to the car and was like, so, second location?
Something else somewhere inside.
So yeah, I've been wanting to go back, and that location actually, unfortunately, last summer had caught fire. There was a huge forest fire and burned the whole area. The plus side, though, is that it's really cool looking.
Now it looks pretty.
Yeah.
Sucks, but
Probably no baby bears.
Yeah, there's actually not much of anything because there's no food for the herbivores, so there's no food for the carnivores. So it actually, you know, kind of relaxed a little bit, you know, even though you still always have to always have to watch. But you know, it was really cool. So yeah, that was that one, and one of the few shots that were shot on location without the strobe light, but. There's still some compositing. This one I photographed in Belgium. Oh God, I love European models. This is Kika.
Kika.
Yeah, this is Kika. And she's wearing this incredible headdress from Hysteria Machine. Basically, my rule in photography is find exceptional subjects and photograph them exceptionally. I'm not always good at photographing them exceptionally, but I do try. In this case here, I was hanging out with Laura Sheridan. She's this incredible Belgian photographer, does great work.
Definitely.
And I was like, dude, I just want to meet you. She's like, want to take photos? I was like, even better. I can do coffee, and I can also hang out and eat chocolate.
I hate photography.
Yeah, so I got to meet Kika and hang out with Laura, and they're really cool. I'm hoping to see them before I go home this trip. That would be awesome. You know, there's so many really, really nice people over here. So yeah, it was, you know, this was one of those images that started out as a doodle. You know, she had this incredible outfit on, and I was like 2 or 3 in the morning somewhere, and I couldn't sleep, and I was just kind of basically pushing sliders. And another thing I say a lot is a push button till it sucks less. And I mean, that's oversimplification in the extreme. But in this case, it was just like, okay, I could feel this image wants something. You know, like you're sliding through, and all of a sudden there's an image that kind of pulls at you, and it's kind of trying to figure out, trying to figure out how the image wants to look. And I've heard a lot of stonemasons use the same thing, is they try to figure out what the stone is telling them and how the stone wants to look. And I said, that's a very beautiful way to put it. So I apply the same thing to image making, is it was like, this was shot on gray background. And of course, I have a stock shop where I create a lot of my own textures and a lot of my own atmospheric elements. And so I've opened them up to the public. And so I just like slid through my shop and was like, I don't know, feels like this, feels like this, feels like this, I don't know, feels like slide. And it just kind of, you know, came together quite beautifully. It's just this quiet moment, and I liked it. You know, it's enough of a story. And another thing that I shy away from is telling the whole story in an image. I just want to tell enough of the story so that the viewer can write their own story.
Fill in the
You know,
gaps.
yeah, exactly. And I think
Just have an entrance and that's
exactly. Yeah, it's just, you know, the first few notes of a song, and then, you know, what do you fill in the rest? So that's kind of where that
hopefully
one
it
comes from.
sticks in your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's what I hope for. I want something that like they can't stop thinking about. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah, this one was fun. This one was
colors.
Which is unusual for me. I typically do saturate because I can't see color very well. I'm not colorblind. I'm just color ignorant.
It's a choice.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's a lot of work for me. Color is something. I mean, my sister is a photographer as well, and she sees color beautifully and naturally, and I don't. And so for me, color is a lot of work. And so this image here, I was doing a workshop in Saskatchewan with the PPOC, with Professional Photographers of Canada. And this incredible model was there, and we'd photographed the set for the composite, and they had this wreath there. And I was like, oh my God, can we put it on your head? And can we just take a few shots really quickly? And it was just like one of those things of, you could feel it in the moment that there was something there. I didn't really know what yet.
Yeah.
But so I turned down the lights really low. I shot that at like f1.4, I think. And, you know, so it was really, really low aperture, especially for me, and especially for a composite. And then it just kind of sat on my hard drive for a few months. And then, you know, kind of one day, once again, late at night, sliding through the hard drives, going, oh, what should I make? You know, because after finishing client work, I need to do something personal, even if it's just really quickly. So this one popped up, and I basically, you know, kind of crunched it out, did a bunch of like Control-I on color, because I would like color one side, and then I was like, invert. And this image kind of came out, you know, even with like the alternating colors in the eyes. And, you know, it wound up, Smugmug wound up printing it for one of their billboards in Las Vegas. It's like 10 feet tall. So yeah, it was crazy. And that's like, it's always a scary thing when my stuff gets printed really, really big, especially when it's personal work. Because sometimes I'm like, man, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah. Like zoom in. Oh shit.
Exactly.
How much can you get away with?
This thing is this massive billboard, and it's not a billboard that's like 30 feet away. Like I'm speaking next to it, and I'm like, oh shit. So I like got there, and of course I didn't know how big they were going to print it, and I get there, and I'm like, oh. So just so you know, if you shoot with a 5D Mark II, 21 megapixels, you can photograph billboards with it. I actually photographed my first billboard with a 5D Mark I, 12 megapixels. Okay. It was fine. So the enlarging software is really good. But it was crazy to see that blown up so big, because then I was just scrutinizing it, right? Because that's the thing with digital art. As soon as you can see the mask lines.
Yeah, with every image, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's small in size and in pixel size or whatever. As long as your mask lines and your straight lines and your textures blend together well, that's the really important thing.
That's what matters. Yeah.
I can have really noisy images as long as the noise is everywhere. It doesn't matter how much you blow it up.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've seen images blow up, and then every time, usually I work in thumbnail sizes, and when I save it, I see the full 100% of my image, and then I go through it and I just see everything that is wrong with it, like little textures that are laid over that are straight lines or stuff like that, and then you need to take that out of it, and then it works.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can blow it up.
Yeah, and
to an extent.
My images I go through with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
You know, pretty consistently. Usually, yeah. I've had a couple where I didn't, and I had to go back in and fix them. This one here was once again created in Studio34x. This is the She-Ra costume. It's also a Fairytas design. This was some frustrating experience for me, because I photographed Lara, who is very pale with very white hair, wearing a white dress with on a white background.
On a white background.
On a white background, because I knew that I wanted to make this a winter scene. So whenever I'm doing a composite, I want to photograph it on a background that's going to match the ambient reflective surface of what I am putting them into. So, you know, me and my genius self didn't go, let's find a brunette with a dark dress. I was like, let's do white on white on white on white.
That'll work.
So one of the nice things about living way north in Canada is we have these incredible ice castles. And so I went there and I photographed the ice castles and composited them in, and it took forever to mask out her hair. So long. But I was really happy with the final result. I think it looked really nice. You know, it's just these quiet little moments. You know, a lot of people create at the height of tension. There's a great digital artist, his name's John Gallagher. He works in the film industry. Almost all of his images are the height of action or the moment right after, right? So everything is these incredible dynamic poses. And I choose to create the quiet moments in between that, you know. And I don't know why that is, but it's something that is very consistent in all of my work. It just feels right. Yeah.
There was an interesting question with the one that says, Renee, do you have some sort of formula in fitting the models in your location? Mine always turn out to be like dwarfs or really giants.
Oh, train your eye. I mean, you have to understand height and perspective and vanishing points. And I mean, that's something that, especially in composite artists, with traditional artists, they learn this. It is taught in art school to understand how vanishing points work and 1, 2, 3 point perspective and everything like that. Composite artists, I mean, admittedly, we're pretty lazy. There's a reason why we composite art, because it's faster than painting and easier than painting, largely. And so if you're having a problem with your subjects, then take the time to understand perspective and sizes and look at tons of artwork and create tons of artwork, because inevitably what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing it. It's just going to happen. You know, sometimes it takes some of us longer than others, but eventually if you keep doing it and you notice like, oh, my person looks too big, how do I make them the right size? You know, open that file up in Photoshop and create a blank layer on top of them, and start drawing the size that you think it should be. You don't have to redo the composite again, but train your eye to say, okay, in this image here, this works, but it's too big or too small. What would I do if I could make this better? And so just draw on it. And so for the next time when you're making it, you've already started those pathways, because it's neuroplasticity. You're just teaching your brain.
But do you guys always use strobes? I mean, is it natural light? Does it work?
Depends.
It
Really depends.
Both?
Yeah.
And you can composite both? I mean, or is there a reason to go for strobes or go for natural?
I do both. Yeah, I do both. It just depends on what the image calls for.
Okay.
Sometimes it's easier to composite on location. Sometimes it is easier to composite in studio. It just depends on the final look that you're going for.
Yeah. There's no line in like, now I got to do it with strobes or now I got to do it with natural light.
No, I mean if natural light is abundant and it works, then use it. Mm-hmm. There's problems with high ISOs and shutter speeds that you need to take into account with natural light, which you can get over with strobe light. But strobe light can be too clinical for certain images as well. Mm-hmm. And then natural light comes in better. Mm-hmm. It just depends on what you're shooting.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it just depends on the final result you're going for.
I have some pictures from Roderique as well.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you see him already on the
small screen?
Yeah.
Here's the big
Those
one.
are my zombies. I like doing zombies. I started doing zombies quite a while ago, but mainly because I really hated them from all the creatures that roam the fantasy and horror realm. Zombies are ew. I don't know. I don't like dead bodies and stuff, but that's why I create them. I create them because I hate them, just like your spiders and stuff.
Yeah.
So one of my first zombie images I made really scared the hell out of me, which was the selfie. So yeah, okay, I stuck with that. And they're fun to do. I mean, they're quite easily to do. Even doing zombie workshops next month in the UK as well. At Amersham Studios, and this basically was a good friend of mine and her bar friends had a day out, and she didn't tell them anything. She just said, well, we're doing a day out, and bring some clothes and bring some makeup and stuff, and that's it. So they didn't know what to expect, and then they came out to my door and went, you're the photographer that makes creepy things. Yes.
Welcome to my castle.
Enter. So I had 12, I have a really small studio which I operate from. I had 12, 13, 15 people running around in my studio, or standing like this in my studio, all with brushes and stuff, and they were all doing their own makeup and just make it zombie-like. Yeah, what's a zombie like? I don't know, dark eyes and whatever. So we spent a good deal of the day on doing that and getting dressed and stuff. And they were really accommodating, so it was just like, yeah, trash that thing you're wearing. Oh yeah, no problem. And then we went out, and my studio is in an old toothpaste factory, so there are different locations you can go to. This one was shot in a toilet. I just like recognized it. Yeah. Push everyone in there and just see what happens. And everyone was standing like this, and I was like, no, you need to come at me. And so slowly they started coming at you. I was like shooting and see what happened. This I used a strobe light because I didn't have
the light in the bedroom was there.
Yeah, and I mean I recolored everything anyways, but I needed some fill-in light.
Here's a question: Do you guys? I mean, as a creative table, do you typically chase things that scare you? Like if something scares you, is that a sign that you just go running at it, or do you just go running the other way?
At it. At it.
Depends.
I think it's more interesting.
Yeah.
To just discover something that you're afraid of. I mean, it's comfortable to get some nice princesses and everything is warm and fuzzy and unicorns and rainbows. But what happens if you direct all that energy to something you're scared of?
Yeah.
It's different. It's the emotion, right? It's the emotion it evokes within you.
It's not even like image related. I mean, like for today, for example, part of the reason why we didn't have Jolien announced is because she's terrified of public speaking.
Yeah.
And so we didn't really know if this was going to work, and she's doing it, which is awesome.
Because you asked me, and I was like sitting there. I was like, I'm terrified of speaking publicly. And I was like, well, I'll just go for it. I guess.
It's not that bad.
It does scare me.
But
Yeah.
it's how we learn something new, I guess.
Yeah.
Like we do things that scare us to learn something new.
And I love doing it. So
Yeah,
I
there you
chose
go.
that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right, so something scares you unless it's going to eat you.
Go for it.
over there.
Not gonna eat me.
So you're scared of octopuses?
No, I actually love tentacles and octopi.
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 I call it octopi.
Yeah, I call it octopi. And this is a typical example. Like if you, I was planning to shoot like an octopus and stuff. I was like, nah, that's going to be too hard and smelly and stuff. And I really wanted to have this image work. So instead of getting an octopus, I drew an octopus by hand in Photoshop.
That's your art. That's your drawing.
Yeah, that's my drawing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just trying to make us feel better.
Right?
Do that in my sleep.
No, I really like this one too. It's really detailed. Yeah, definitely.
So much texture.
Yeah, it's a mixture. It's actually a mixture of me having been drawing ever since I was a child, and then adding the stuff I do in Photoshop onto that image, and it works really well. So yeah, I drew this by hand. Cool. So if you need tentacles, I'll draw them. I always have a hard time drawing octopuses, octopi, because I always start drawing 1 leg, 2 leg, 3 leg, and then I end up at 6. There's no more room for the 2. It's really hard.
It's like me with hands.
Yeah, I made this one drawing of an octopi which actually has 10 tentacles.
Totally possible.
Yeah, totally possible. I made it.
It's a mutants.
I put it on Redbubble and it's selling me t-shirts all through the years.
So cool.
It's so much fun. It's the Dectopus. Nobody notices. I didn't even know it until somebody else told me, like, why does he have 10 legs?
It's on purpose.
Yeah, it's on purpose. I did that.
Yeah, all right.
I remember this one.
Oh yeah.
I definitely remember this one.
This one we shot at your studio back then because I didn't have a studio, and I met this guy who wanted something weird. Well, came to the right place. So we came up with this concept of a mad professor. And then I started thinking, well, mad professor is fun. I could put him in front of something, and that'll be it. No, that's not it. We need to make something more. So I said, well, you're a mad professor, and you created this clone army of zombies, zombie clone army stuff thing. So how are we going to do that? I don't know, just stand there and act like a zombie. So we had a few dress changes with or without shirts and stuff. We had him just do weird poses in all different kind of settings with the same lighting. The two where he's holding a leg, that's actually Richard's leg, as a placeholder. And then I spent this was one of the images that I spent really long time on, a few months actually, on and off, because I couldn't do this in one day, that would frustrate me, so I started building this one in parts. First I started cutting out every piece, every single figure I had. I think we shot about 600.
You should make it into a GIF, because he was amazing as well. Him posing this was like,
he was amazing.
You're gonna keep playing the images, go next.
I think it must be so much fun, because at a certain moment you're like, everything. Let's go nuts.
So it ended up like looking like this, and I even drew a few images zombies in the back as well, just a silhouette.
Yeah, people say you must make him from the government, people in the toren in Den Haag.
The government parties, zombies. I'll make the government zombies.
Send me a good picture and I'll make it.
Nice.
Yeah, this is much fun to do.
Do your clients like actually, when you make something like that for a person, and you take like a year or 6 months, do they keep asking you for it? Do they worry about it, or do they just the same for you?
Especially with these images, I do keep telling people, kick me.
keep me
updated, because I tend to. Personal projects aren't that hard. I mean, you do them in your own time. But for clients, you always want to do that little bit extra, and then it scares me. So you put it off, and you put it off, and you put it off. I mean, keep putting it off. And people keep asking me like, okay, when is it finished? And it's like, it's going to be great, and there needs to be some pressure point. So usually what I do now is like, okay, I'm going to make this for you, give me a deadline, when do you need it? I'll have it finished by then and then. And that works better because then you have a deadline, and working without a deadline is really putting things off.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Like it,
People tend to give you freedom.
Oh yeah, I always get a deadline when they fill out my permission form, so then I already know when the deadline is. But for me, it's mostly because I need to schedule everybody into my agenda.
Yeah.
So this costume takes 4 weeks and this takes 6 weeks, so I have to manage it. But yeah, overall, deadlines.
Yeah, I have had some clients that I thought would finish much earlier, but then the thing that held me up, and some of them, I have actually one client is still holding up because I can't get the right stock footage, and that sucks. That is like the worst kind of hold up, is that I can't get the right materials, because it's like everything's previs, and I did not imagine that like the 2 key pieces that we needed for the stock would be so hard to find. Like I'm trying to find currently images of old Russian airplanes, Russian-made airplanes, but from a certain angle, and that's the thing that sucks, you know. And then like there's another one where I need certain airplanes in there. Most of them are aviation based. I did not think that finding historical aviation would be so difficult.
Really?
And it is not easy. You know, I found some stuff that's like really low res, and it's like that's the thing that holds me up sometimes, is like finding the right pieces. So I mean,
how did you
typically
react to it?
sometimes, well, they're still waiting. It's still not finished. I mean, I've finished almost everything else, but the other option is compromising on the design. And so eventually there's just going to be a discussion where it's like every single time I think it's like, oh no, I might be able to get it here, and it's like, I mean, I travel the world, I'm trying to find it, and I still can't find it. Like I'm checking, you know, airplane museums, everything, you know, and I'm going to these places trying to find what I'm looking for. Yeah, and like I have put it out to the internet dozens of times, and a couple people have come back with things that were close but wrong generation, or you know, things like that. And it's
If it needs to be that specific, that's
I didn't think it would be that hard when we were doing the artwork. So I mean, that's the battle where it comes down to, is that, you know, do we compromise on the original design, and that's up to the client. You know,
Animation. Like
CGI when it needs to be. In this case, the airplane is a somewhat larger feature piece. That is a last resort for me. CGI looks CGI. It is challenging to make it not stand out as CGI.
Unless you get a good CGI artist.
You have to get a really good, and that's going to cost more than my budget. So I mean, those are you know, of course, the options that can come in. So I typically have deadlines for everybody. Sometimes some go over. I find that if I'm not in the right headspace to work on a client piece, it just looks like hell. I mean, I'll waste a week, 2-3 weeks working on an image, and it's like one client piece, and it's just not working, you know, and it's frustrating, you know. So then it's like, okay, go back, do something that you can like easily win at, go back at it, chip at it some more, and then go to the next roadblock, and then like come back to it, even though it's something that maybe I've done like 100 times. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and that's the hard part, I think, sometimes with the creative career, especially when you're working on stuff that's so creative, that these aren't headshots. You know, this isn't maternity, this isn't a wedding, this is like, you know, you're creating custom pieces, and sometimes it just takes a while, and I hate when that happens. It's really frustrating.
Isn't it frustrating for you, because you're like, maybe somebody on the internet has already did this before me, and then you Google it, and then you get your own tutorial?
Yeah.
I need this! Yeah, definitely. Are we time-wise?
Yeah, time-wise is like 10 minutes, then we are like 2.5 hours talking. There was one question for Renee. Renee is near the nicest plane museum in the world, in Lelystad, 500 kilometers.
Oh, you're near the nicest.
Yeah.
I don't think it's there though.
If it has Russian planes, I'm in to check it out. I need Russian. It has to be Russian.
Russian planes.
Yeah.
Whatever.
First, Second World War. Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we stop at 22:30?
Sure.
10 minutes.
10 minutes about it?
Yeah,
It's for you. You must go early on your flight, so.
Yeah. Train. Yeah.
No problem. Roderique, I have one picture for you here.
I love this one. It's fucked up.
Yeah, I cannot really put my finger in my mouth and I like that. Really.
Yes, you can.
That's not. I don't know. I mean, people keep asking me for this one, and it was fun to make. It was really easy to make. It was a side project, just setting up in my bedroom, one light, and just take a few pictures. Basically, have your camera on a tripod and take a few pictures in different poses of your face. Like I was pulling my face this way and this way, and then you have a kind of a collection of images which. Because the lighting is the same, the background is the same. It's quite easy to overlay them on each other and see what happens. And, I had the idea in my head, and then I just needed to really make it make it happen. So just good blending and good.
How do you come up with an idea like?
I actually saw a similar illustration somewhere on the interwebs. I was like, oh, I could do that in Photoshop, I guess.
I know the illustration. It's nice. It's a magazine cover. It's
a comic cover. Yeah, it was a comic cover. So I was inspired by that, and I wanted to recreate it in a picture. Somehow it happened. And people freak out about it, and that's the most fun about it. Yeah, this one is fun. Fun with friends. Have friends over, especially if they're creative as well. Put your camera in the oven and put a mustache on and make something weird happen. These are just like fun projects, just easily made, and then you create something. And I mean, they're not only fun to make; they also help in your creative process. They also give you a kind of a sketchbook kind of idea, like what can I work on without being on a client project. So yeah, I'll always try and make these pictures. Like that one.
That would be me.
Yes.
In your brain.
Yes, that was the first time we met.
Yeah.
At your workshop at the end of the day. You were
That was terrifying, by the way. Teaching a workshop about compositing and going like, is that Roderique in the back?
That's the same thing to me. I'm going to do my first workshop about speed lighting. First, Roderique. Fuck. What am I going to teach this guy?
I
know nothing.
I remember teaching my first workshop here in Holland and finding out that you were coming and then I'm sitting here and I'm like cold sweats, like fucking hell. Because I mean I followed your work for years, and so it was just like, oh my god, I'm so fucked. And so I'm like teaching, and I remember at one point I'm like, this is right? Like, I talked about something and it was like one of those things I'd like been learning, and I was like, am I right? This is right? I'm pretty sure this is right. You're like, it's right. They're like, oh.
It's always scary, but in the end, you get such a good friendship. And that's
exactly. Well, same thing with Adrian Semmeling when he showed up for my first workshop. Richard tells me, he's like, so Adrian Semmeling signed up. I was like, fuck! It's like, I'm so doomed. What can I teach these people?
How do you stay original?
How do you stay original? I don't fucking know. Keep work on it. And just keep producing. And I mean, I make a lot of artwork that never sees the light of day, that is direct rip-offs of something somebody else has done, just to learn the process of how I think they made it work. It never goes online. Nobody's ever going to see it because it's a direct copy. But I take the learning experience from that and then go, oh sweet, well I can take like that piece and put it into my workflow, which I think is exactly, which is I think the benefit of workshops is I don't ever want to learn how to exactly copy what somebody's doing. I just want to find the little one-off pieces that are going to work for what I'm doing, which is typically why I teach workshops as let's make your artwork, because most people are just looking for ways to make their own vision better. Most people are not looking to copy somebody. There are out there, but those are really obvious.
Maybe a good one to close off with. What's your next project, guys?
Roderique.
Do you have some projects you want to talk about?
Shake it off. Jolien, start marinating. What's the next project you're working on?
My next project, oh my gosh.
Are those the workshops? Are you training for those? Are you looking at those?
At the moment, I'm fully booked with workshops the coming month. I'm doing workshops in the UK, I'm doing workshops in Amersfoort.
How do you prepare? How do you keep the workshops fresh?
I have different kind of workshops. I do basic Photoshop courses as well nowadays. For people who don't know Photoshop, even there I find it interesting to teach people and to see where the basis is and to get yourself back into how does that work again? Because you know Photoshop is in your fingers, but then you need to have it back in your head again. So that's one thing. I do a masterclass where I go more into the creative stuff, like why you would make an image like that, and have some pro tools, but usually they're really simple tools.
If you go into a zombie workshop, do you know what type of zombie are you going to try it beforehand? I mean, do you prep for something like that, or do you just go into it and make with what you got?
No, everyone who's coming to the zombie workshop will be turned into a zombie by themselves. So that's going to be a personal thing as well. And we're going to work with makeup, but we're not going to do lots of makeup and stuff. We're just doing the basics, and then go from there and take it from there. And the horror workshop is going to be fun because Clinton is going to be there. We have some awesome models coming over. We're doing it in a really weird location at night. Shit creaks and crawls. With coffee and Red Bull and lots of sugar to get through the night, and hopefully nobody will fall asleep during the Photoshop part.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, at the end of the day, after shooting and you do Photoshop.
The keyboard in their head.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, every now and then you lose one. Yeah.
Definitely. So we'll keep it interesting.
Like people with keyboard things in their head.
Yeah. That's usually why I have like huge bowls of candy at my workshops, because I'm just like, keep putting sugar in, you'll be fine.
Especially with that one, so that'll be fun. We're currently also building workshops for next year as well. So there's a lot of workshops coming in, and I always try to create something new or something different in them.
And maybe doing some live workshops we talked about.
Yeah, that would be interesting as well, like video workshops as well. There's also, I think there's a video workshop coming out soon, in the near future. We recorded one a while ago. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Sounds great. Interesting.
Yeah. I just love teaching. I mean, I love teaching and meeting people and inspire them and see what happens from them. That's really awesome.
Cool.
So those are my most
Next coming project.
Yeah, upcoming projects. I took basically the year off teaching. I find like with everything you need to take a break, so I took mostly the year off. I did do Creative Live in the last year. I did 2 Creative Live classes. But so I'm now kicked back into being on the speaking circuit again. So I just spoke at Photokina. I'm going to be at Photo Plus as well in New York in a couple of weeks. I actually had an interesting opportunity come up, so I recently, Secret Squirrel leaked out that I got a 3-month contract starting, and I didn't say what it was, and so the press release is coming out sometime next week or the week after, but I got the approval to talk about it today. There is a podcast called This Week in Photo, and we have agreed that I'm going to take over their retouching channel for 3 months. Yay. We're taking the channel from being very conservative to saying fuck.
Nice. Nice. Making it more 2016.
Yeah, it'll be, I mean, that was part of the agreement, is that I'm not interested in doing a podcast channel where I can't be myself. Yeah. I want it to be educational, I want it to be, for the younger crowd, I want it to be everything that I love and am inspired by, and that will hopefully inspire other people. And so they gave me a microphone and an audience. We'll see how this goes. Exactly. Yeah, so I mean, I'm really hoping to be able to bring in a lot of talent from around the world, because I travel so much, I meet a lot of incredible artists, so I'm hoping to kind of expand the people who are already fans of the show and people who would like to check out a new retouching channel. That's kind of the plan. That's the plan. So that actually goes live in January. So at least that's the plan right now.
It's a question for one in the comments. They ask when you're going to do next for your workshops and things like that. But you're going to teach on that?
Yeah. Well, the podcast it's just podcast. It's not like training specifically. It's inspiration and everything like that. It's a whole 9 yards. So as far as hands-on workshops, I'm in discussions with a group for one next summer in the UK. with somebody else, a couple more people at this table, but we don't really know yet for sure. So there's discussions on that one as far as the really hands-on weekend workshops. We just did one in Denmark, but currently there's nothing really booked right now. I have some client commissions I need to wrap up, and then I need to get this podcast rolling.
All the work.
Yeah, what's funny is that I have to have everything done before I'm even finished this world tour.
Nice.
I get home mid-December sometime, and I have to have this whole thing done before then, so I'm like,
Traveling, working.
No pressure there.
Got this.
yeah, so, workshops, we'll probably start booking them, in the winter and the spring again. So we'll just see if you're interested in me coming to your city, shoot me an email, we can discuss. I'm open to it, so.
Yeah. You're still here a little bit in
I'm
Holland,
still here
so-
for a little bit. Yeah, we are doing a lecture next Saturday here in Holland, in Delft, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah. So if people are in Holland, Belgium, Western Germany, if you want to come in for this thing, it'll be super casual. I think it's 3 hours is what we plan for, and then we'll go for dinner, hang out, shoot the shit after. So it'll be like super cash, but hopefully still educational, informative, and you're stuck with me at a table for 4 or 5, 6 hours. So
Good times. Good times.
you're stuck with me.
I have a fashion show in Paris at the end of October, and I'm really excited about that. It's really scary.
That's awesome.
It's really
Amazing.
nice.
Nice.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And just a fashion show or more elaborate? Or
Well,
what kind
of
fashion
course, my costumes are going to be on display there. I saw the venue already. It's like this big, white, glossy space. Like, it's amazing. So I can't wait to be there.
Smoke and shit. Sprinkles and fairies.
Special effects,
Nice,
like
nice.
lasers.
Yeah, right. Lasers coming up.
Birds. Flying out.
That's awesome.
And a firework dragon.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. So I'm really, really excited for that, and I have a lot of amazing Halloween costumes I need to finish for my clients. And this year there are about 1 or 2 like really big projects I'm working on currently. So watch my Facebook, because the costumes are going to be there, and I can't wait to finish them and show you all. Because these are going to be like new and more elaborate, and like with more details on them.
How do you put more? Right? There's no more face. Brain can't handle. Brain can't handle anymore.
And then after that, after October, I'm just gonna take a couple of weeks off and work on my own project. I really like to elaborate more on that costume, so make shoulder pieces with it, and like a corset, and like a really long flowy skirt.
More
Tattoos,
detail,
of
more
course.
detail.
Yeah.
More detail.
Build it out.
I feel like chomps.
And I also have an idea to make a collection of dresses. So
The
that
collection.
complement each other instead of, usually I do like one big piece,
Yeah.
but I want these dresses to complement each
A
other.
series.
Yeah, a series to
Nice.
tell a story, and just maybe make a photography story out of that. Yeah.
Fight to the death. Who gets to shoot?
Right? We're all hanging out together. Making notes.
Starts Game of Thrones.
Here's the ring of death. We're going for dress number 1.
I'm free next Monday.
Now, when someone says great pictures and costumes, lovely crowd, ask them back again.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks
That's
for
my
listening.
question. Yeah, thank you for listening. That's my question to close the show with always. Who wants to sit next here? Who must sit next here on this table?
Who do you want next?
Who do you want next?
Who I want
Yes,
next?
Yeah. And keep it in mind.
Have to be Dutch.
Yeah, no.
it can be international.
It can be international, but it can be
Trouble.
They want to sit here.
You need to want to sit here.
Yeah, they need to want to sit here for free.
For free.
For chocolate.
I'm doing it all for free, so I've nothing to pay for it.
Let
Not
me
yet.
think. Let me think.
Jolien?
I think Bella.
Bella?
Oh, Bella.
Oh, Bella. There you go.
Definitely Bella.
There you go.
Shout out for
Bella.
that.
Yeah.
Bella Kotak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
amazeballs.
And for doing that, we need Pratik as well.
She's amazing with images and the costumes
You don't want
we
them
provide
together.
for her.
Yeah, you want them together.
I want Maria Amanda,
Maria Amanda.
the model.
Yes.
She's
Well, if those two are going to be on this table,
you might as well get her.
You need a bigger table.
No, Maria Amanda is
Yeah.
this, like incredible model. She actually has a really interesting story too. I won't say anything about it, but I mean she's so sweet and very talented and kind and awesome. And let's
really
see,
easy to work with.
really easy to work with. Ophelia Overdose is always a good time if you can get her.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
She's a total sweetheart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joseph Barry.
Joseph.
Joseph
Yay!
With the spoons. Mr. Spoons.
That's an inside joke.
And bananas.
The two of them.
Joseph Barry.
What's going on?
There's something with spoons.
If he's watching, fucking
Joseph.
know.
We got the spoons ready.
Photogrina style, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And Robbie?
I just said Joseph Barry.
Oh yeah, Joseph, sorry.
Yeah,
And if you can, if Clinton's here,
yeah, of course.
Both of them.
Yeah,
Both of them
they're a
together.
2-in-1 package like Bella and Pratik.
Yes.
Yeah, they're like Twix. You get like
They
two
both
in a
got their own
package.
studio, but they work together.
it's easy. I mean, you don't have to say anything. They'll just talk the show through.
Actually, I think
Oh, ask
that
him.
Laura Sheridan also would like to.
Ooh,
Laura
yeah.
Sheridan.
Sheridan. Yeah. I'm trying to get her like up, but it takes some time to get her here.
Well, we can just kidnap her. I still have some time.
Once you go, like chloroform her, put him in the car, and we'll drive her up and bring her here and go like, look.
There's the light, there's the camera on.
There you go.
What's your fate?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to get her here, so once she's here, we'll definitely throw her in the seat.
I'm really honored you want to be on my show. So thanks for that.
being here.
Thanks for that. Thanks for watching. It was a good one. So if you want to look back at the show, go to YouTube. Much love. Go to YouTube. You can watch it back and see you next time.
Next week.
Friday.
Next week on Friday.
Bye bye.